As the Democratic National Committee (DNC) prepares for a crucial leadership transition, the upcoming election of a new chairperson on Saturday comes at a critical juncture for the party. With Donald Trump poised to enter his second term as president, the stakes are high as Democrats grapple with a series of challenges that have left them reeling after recent electoral setbacks. 8 candidates have emerged to replace outgoing Chair Jaime Harrison, but the race has largely distilled into a contest between two prominent state party leaders, Ken Martin from Minnesota and Ben Wikler from Wisconsin. Both candidates, while respected among the DNC's 448 voting members, are not seen as harbingers of dramatic change. Instead, they emphasize a pragmatic approach focused on the essential mechanics of political campaigning, messaging, fundraising, and grassroots organization. Neither candidate has laid out a radical vision, which some insiders suggest may be a reflection of the party's current need for stability rather than bold innovation. The debate surrounding the leadership election has shifted toward practical strategies to enhance the party's brand, particularly among working-class voters, a demographic that has increasingly drifted toward Trump's Republican Party. As one DNC insider candidly put it, the party is seeking a nerd to oversee the intricate work of rebuilding its infrastructure. Martin has pledged to be the organizer-in-chief if elected, while Wikler advocates for a proactive strategy that engages all 50 states. The urgency of this election is underscored by the Democratic Party's recent struggles. The last election saw the party lose the popular vote for the first time in 2 decades, alongside significant defections from young voters, African Americans, Latinos, and working-class whites. With the next chair expected to become the public face of the party, they will also play a pivotal role in shaping the DNC's message and political strategy going forward. This includes preparation for the 2028 presidential primary, which promises to be fiercely contested. Among the candidates, fundraising has emerged as a contentious topic. Wikler boasts an impressive fundraising record, having overseen the Wisconsin State Party's collection of $183 million since 2019. In contrast, Martin's Minnesota party raised less than half that amount during the same period. However, this advantage comes with scrutiny, as some party members express concern that Wikler's ties to wealthy donors could complicate the party's anti-Trump narrative, which has focused on combating the influence of ultra-wealthy individuals in politics. The question of diversity in leadership also looms large. For over a decade, the DNC has been led by individuals from marginalized communities, reflecting the party's commitment to inclusivity. Should either Wikler or Martin succeed, the committee would revert to being led by a white man for the first time since 2011. Some members see this as a coincidence, while others acknowledge a growing concern that the party is losing touch with working-class values, particularly as demographic shifts continue to challenge traditional coalitions. Looking ahead, the new chair will not only have to address the immediate challenges of party organization and messaging, but also navigate the complex political landscape that Trump's second presidency will undoubtedly create. Both leading candidates have indicated a desire to refocus the party's message on economic populism, striving to reconnect with the working-class voters who have felt alienated. As the DNC prepares for its winter meeting and the decisive vote, it is clear that the new chair will inherit a party at a crossroads. Their ability to unify diverse factions and address the fundamental issues at play will be pivotal in shaping the Democratic Party's future trajectory as it seeks to reclaim its footing in an increasingly polarized political environment. The outcomes of this election will have lasting implications not just for the DNC but for the broader political landscape as the nation moves forward. In the evolving landscape of the Republican Party, a significant ideological divide is emerging between traditional conservatives and the populist movement represented by MAGA, Make America Great Again. This schism was recently highlighted in an interview with House Speaker Mike Johnson, who suggested that a synthesis of Reagan-era conservatism and Trumpism was possible. However, many political analysts argue that this reconciliation is fundamentally flawed. During a candid hour-long discussion with journalist Bari Weiss, Johnson expressed a belief that the current dynamics within the GOP resemble the historical fusionism that once characterized the party. "What we're doing right now is a new fusion," he stated, drawing parallels to the alliance between social conservatives and libertarians that bolstered the Republican Party in the latter half of the 20th century. This oversimplification overlooks the complexities introduced by Trump's brand of populism, which diverges sharply from the values of Reagan conservatism. Historically, the GOP has embraced a hawkish foreign policy under the banner of peace through strength. This doctrine, championed by figures like Ronald Reagan, emphasized the importance of U.S. military strength as a deterrent to global threats. Johnson, while endorsing this tenet, downplayed dissenting voices within the party that advocate for prioritizing domestic issues over international engagement. This perspective reflects a broader trend within the MAGA faction, which has increasingly adopted an isolationist stance, particularly in light of perceived failures in foreign interventions. The ideological rift is particularly evident in the context of U.S. support for allies like Ukraine and Israel. Many MAGA supporters are skeptical of foreign aid, viewing it as a diversion of resources from pressing domestic concerns. In stark contrast, traditional conservatives argue that aiding allies serves U.S. interests by fostering stability abroad and preempting larger conflicts at home. As Thomas Massie, a prominent figure within this faction, leads efforts to cut funding for international conflicts, the party faces a fundamental question: can a party that once rallied around a robust internationalist agenda now reconcile that legacy with a growing base of anti-interventionist sentiments? The implications of this divide are profound. If a significant portion of the GOP moves toward isolationism, it could embolden adversaries like China and Russia, who may interpret U.S. retrenchment as a lack of resolve. Speaker Johnson's assertion that the U.S. must remain the most powerful house in the neighborhood is contingent upon the belief that strength and commitment to allies are integral to deterring aggression. However, if internal dissent grows, the credibility of U.S. foreign policy could suffer, potentially destabilizing international relations. As Trump embarks on his second term, the foreign policy direction he chooses will be crucial. His administration has already signaled a shift, including a temporary freeze on foreign aid, which could further alienate traditional conservatives advocating for a strong international presence. The appointment of figures like Tulsi Gabbard, known for her anti-interventionist views, raises questions about the future trajectory of GOP foreign policy. In this context, the ideological battle within the Republican Party is not merely academic, it carries real-world consequences for America's role on the global stage. The difficulty of reconciling Trumpism with Reaganism reflects a broader struggle within the party to define its identity in an era marked by populist sentiments. As the GOP navigates this complex landscape, observers will watch closely to see whether it can maintain its traditional values while accommodating the new populist wave. The outcome of this internal struggle may well shape not only the party's future but also the United States' standing in the world. The reconciliation of these opposing ideologies appears increasingly unlikely, leaving the GOP at a crossroads as it contemplates its path forward in a changing political environment. In a pivotal moment for President Donald Trump's administration, 3 of his key nominees faced intense scrutiny during Senate hearings on January 30, 2025. This event not only highlighted the contentious political landscape but also raised critical questions about the future direction of key federal agencies. The nominees, Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence, Kash Patel for Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI), and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services, each brought their own controversies to the table. Tulsi Gabbard, a former U.S. representative, was under pressure as she appeared before the Senate Intelligence Committee. With her nomination, the stakes were particularly high, given her past positions on foreign policy issues concerning Russia and Syria. Gabbard's confirmation hearing was characterized by rigorous questioning regarding her views on surveillance and national security. "I am committed to protecting our nation while also respecting civil liberties," Gabbard stated, attempting to navigate the challenging landscape of intelligence oversight. Kash Patel, nominated to lead the FBI, faced a different set of challenges. A lawyer with limited government experience, Patel rose to prominence in the Trump administration by demonstrating unwavering loyalty to the president. Throughout his career, he has been vocal in criticizing the FBI, which he claims has lost its way. During the hearing, Trump expressed confidence in Patel, asserting that he would restore fidelity, bravery, and integrity to the Bureau. Patel's approach is expected to focus on what he perceives as missteps by the agency, notably its handling of investigations related to Trump and his associates. As he prepares for his confirmation, Patel's commitment to addressing crime and dismantling criminal organizations was a focal point of his testimony. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the third nominee, faced particularly fierce opposition during his hearing for the position of Secretary of Health and Human Services. Accusations of being anti-vaccine loomed large over Kennedy, who attempted to clarify his stance by asserting, "I am pro-safety and I believe that vaccines play a critical role in healthcare." His responses, however, did little to assuage concerns from Senate Democrats, who pressed him on his past statements regarding public health, including various health issues beyond vaccines. Gaps in his knowledge came to light, raising questions about his preparedness for such a significant role. The dynamics of these hearings reflect a broader trend in American politics, where partisan divisions increasingly shape the confirmation process. As the Senate continues to evaluate these nominations, the outcomes may not only influence the direction of U.S. policy but also the political landscape heading into the 2026 elections. In conclusion, the outcomes of these hearings are pivotal not just for the nominees but for the Trump administration as a whole. With significant challenges ahead, including addressing public safety, health crises, and national security, the confirmed officials will have the daunting task of steering their respective departments amidst a polarized environment. As these appointments unfold, the ramifications will likely resonate throughout the political sphere, setting the stage for future developments in both domestic and foreign policy. In a pivotal moment for American politics, the 2024 U.S. House of Representatives elections have unfolded against the backdrop of a highly contested presidential race. As the nation awaits the final tallies, the implications of these results are shaping the legislative landscape, particularly following the election of former President Donald Trump to a second term. The stakes have never been higher, with all 435 seats up for grabs and both major parties vying for control in a sharply divided Congress. As of Monday evening, the numbers revealed a tight race, with Republicans holding 213 seats and Democrats claiming 204. With the magic number for control set at 218, the outcome hinges on remaining ballots from several key districts. Notably, races in states such as Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Iowa, Maine, Ohio, Oregon, and Washington remain uncalled, adding an air of suspense to the ongoing electoral drama. The election results are being closely monitored across various platforms, with real-time updates available on USA Today's dedicated election results page, allowing voters and political analysts alike to track developments as they happen. The significance of these elections extends beyond mere numbers. They reflect the shifting priorities and sentiments of the American electorate, particularly in light of economic challenges and social issues that have dominated the national conversation. The recent electoral cycle has highlighted persistent divisions among voters, with many attributing their choices to the candidates' stances on inflation, healthcare, and other key policy areas. Voters are increasingly focused on tangible issues that affect their daily lives, said political analyst Sarah Thompson. This election has the potential to redefine not just party control but the entire legislative agenda moving forward. The outcome of the House races will be critical as Trump prepares to take office once again on January 20, 2025, alongside a Republican majority in the Senate. This combination could enable the GOP to push through significant legislative changes. But it also raises questions about bipartisanship and the potential for gridlock in a divided government. Observers note that the newly elected representatives will play a crucial role in shaping the legislative priorities and the tone of future governance. As the final results unfold, the implications for American democracy and governance will be closely scrutinized. The upcoming months will likely see increased public engagement as citizens become more aware of their representatives' actions and the broader impact on national policy. The 2024 elections may very well mark a turning point, not only determining control of Congress but also setting the stage for crucial debates on the future direction of the country. In conclusion, as America stands at this crossroads, the actions of the newly elected members of the House will resonate far beyond the walls of Congress. The choices made in the coming months will redefine party strategies, influence public policy, and ultimately shape the lives of millions. The nation watches closely, waiting to see how these developments will unfold in the new political landscape. In a politically charged atmosphere, the North Carolina Supreme Court has thrust the state into the national spotlight by blocking the certification of Democratic Justice Allison Riggs' election victory. Riggs, who won her seat by a narrow margin of 734 votes against Republican Judge Jefferson Griffin in November, now faces an uncertain future as Griffin appeals the results, igniting a battle that raises significant questions about electoral integrity and the rule of law. The situation escalated when Griffin challenged the election outcome, claiming that the North Carolina State Board of Elections had violated state laws concerning absentee and early voting procedures. His objections centered on the assertion that over 60,000 voters had registered without providing required identification, namely driver's license numbers or social security numbers. Griffin's attorney Craig Schauer emphasized the importance of ensuring that only eligible voters determine election outcomes, stating, "We filed these protests because we believe the winners of these elections should be determined by eligible voters and only eligible voters." Despite Griffin's appeals, the State Board of Elections dismissed his protest, arguing that altering rules post-election would undermine the democratic process. The board's chair Alan Hirsch expressed concern over the implications of disenfranchising voters who had complied with existing registration requirements. "The idea that someone could have been registered to vote, came to vote, and then has their vote discarded is anathema to the democratic system," Hirsch said. Following the board's dismissal of his claims, Griffin escalated the issue to the North Carolina Supreme Court rather than following the traditional route through Wake County Court. On January 7, the Supreme Court, dominated by Republican justices, voted 4-2 to stay the certification of Riggs' victory, prompting a robust response from Democrats. State Representative Deborah Boss described the actions in North Carolina as an attempt to overturn a free and fair election, a sentiment echoed by Riggs' attorney Samuel Hartzell, who noted that her victory represents the last uncertified race in the country. As the legal battle unfolds, the case has also drawn the attention of the Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, where judges indicated a likelihood of remanding the case back to state court. A hearing is scheduled for February 7 in Wake County, and the outcome could have lasting implications for the electoral landscape in North Carolina and beyond. Justice Trey Allen, a Republican, clarified that the stay was intended to allow sufficient time for the courts to address the appeal without implying that Griffin would necessarily prevail in the end. This highlights the delicate balance the court must strike between upholding the integrity of the electoral process and ensuring that all legal challenges are appropriately adjudicated. The implications of this case extend far beyond North Carolina. As the nation grapples with issues of electoral legitimacy, the outcome may set precedents affecting how election disputes are handled in the future. The current political climate, marked by heightened partisan tensions, underscores the necessity for transparent and fair electoral processes. With future elections looming, the North Carolina Supreme Court's decisions will likely reverberate through the judiciary and electoral systems across the country. As the legal proceedings continue, all eyes remain on the courts, where the balance of power, the sanctity of elections, and the principles of democracy are at stake. The outcome of this case will undoubtedly shape the future of electoral integrity in the United States and could ignite similar disputes in other jurisdictions, emphasizing the critical nature of maintaining public trust in the electoral process.